All right, let's talk about how to do an unboxing video. I have a few products that I'm gonna unbox and I'm gonna show you my process, the whole setup, and then some tips on actually doing the unboxing for getting a professional unboxing video for YouTube or social media. First things first, we have here the Canon C50 as my primary camera, top down with a 24 to 70 millimeter lens on here. Filming most of these around 24 to 35 millimeter. Currently, I'm shooting this at 24 millimeter, so I'll cut to the shot here, what you can see at 24. Now, if you're wanting to do both vertical and horizontal, you'll want to keep it somewhat wide. I'm also shooting an open gate on the C50 that allows me to have a little bit more room vertically to be able to crop. But you can see here, if I were to punch in, so this is about a 50 millimeter, which looks really good as far as filling up the frame. However, if I wanted to crop that vertically, you can see that we're not going to be able to do that very well. So there are times where I'll top down and do something like a 50 millimeter, but it's usually when I know it's not going to be vertical and I just want to get really tight, really close up on whatever it is for my horizontal view. So I'm going to pop that back out to 24 mil. I actually punched into about 27 is where I'm filming this at currently. So 24 to 70 is a great lens for top down. Much wider than 24, I don't usually need to go. And you can always just raise the camera higher if you need to get a little bit wider. And then as far as camera settings, we're shooting at 24 frames per second at 4K. Actually, this is open gate, and so it's 7K, but typically if I'm not shooting open gate, it's in 4K. And then other camera settings we got here is an f2.8. Now this is going to allow me to bring stuff up close to the camera like this, and that's going to knock stuff out of focus that's on the desk. And so I usually don't like to keep everything flat against the desk. If I can, I like to raise it up to give it some depth, some separation from the background here, and bring this up into the foreground. And then other camera settings, we're at 1/50th of a shutter, ISO 400, and white balance is at 5200 Kelvin to match the lighting of my light over here, just to keep my whites white. So that's it for camera settings. Also, right now we're just doing a standard picture profile. I'm either shooting in C-Log 2 or standard. So autofocus, you'll notice right here that we have a box in the very center. This is a flexi zone so that only what's in that box will catch focus. And I also have turned off on my autofocus prioritize people because I don't want it prioritizing my hands. I just want whatever is inside that box showing up in focus. Now you'll notice one other thing too right here. There's a little red dot on my product, and that's because there's a red tally light on the front of this camera that's reflecting off of my product. So I'd mentioned this in my camera navigation videos that really the only time I turn off that camera tally light is when I'm unboxing, because I don't want that light reflecting on the product and having that random red light showing up in all the products. So I'll turn that off when I start the unboxings here in a second. Now, as far as what's holding up the camera, you'll notice that I have here a boom arm, and I'm going to link to all of this in the description so you can see where to buy any of this. This is a boom arm that's on a C stand over here, and then that's being counterbalanced by a sandbag, and you will need and want a sandbag. Height-wise, that's probably 2.5 feet from the table. Again, if you had a wider angle lens, you could bring this even closer to the table. And then the boom arm, you have here a little Westcott attachment. Again, I'll link below. Has a little ball head on it to allow you to really adjust, fine tune exactly where you want that to be. And then we have a little plate system here. This is from a Joby tripod that I took off the Joby tripod. It's just the head and the plate, and then that's what is holding up the camera there. So pretty simple setup as far as booming out the camera. Now, one thing to keep in mind, you'll notice right now, because I've touched the camera, my image is rocking just a little bit back and forth. So anytime you push record or change a setting, you'll want to steady it and then wait about 20 seconds before you start filming something, because there's going to be a little bit of bobble going on as it settles into its position. You want to make sure that nothing's touching anything on this boom arm. For example, you notice that I have plugged in an HDMI and a USB-C. The USB-C is to charge it so I don't run out of battery, and the HDMI is to run to this monitor right here so I can see everything that I'm looking at. But if you have the HDMI going straight from the camera to the monitor's on my desk. So as I move the desk, it'll move the monitor, which will move through the cable and move your camera. So you don't want to have the camera cable going directly from camera to the monitor. So you notice that I've strung it along down the C stand, through the floor, and then up through the monitor. That way, as I touch the desk, it's not directly affecting my overhead rig. Okay, so that's it for the camera setup. Let's now talk about lighting. So right here we have an Aputure 100X. This is at about 30% brightness, going through a big 4-foot diffuser. Big softbox here. And you've noticed how I've positioned it pretty low and it's not hanging over a ton. If you hang the light over too much over here, you're gonna see a ton of reflection in your products. And so you want this to be not hanging over so much, but just giving you a big soft light that's coming from a side angle and not so much from a top angle. And then this isn't necessary. This is just a little tube light that I have here, an Amaran T4C, I think. And you don't need this, but I like having just a little kick light on the products here so it doesn't get too lost in the dark. I want to be able to see certain details sometimes on this side. And if I don't have this kick light, so I'll just show you here, for example, this is with the kick light and that's without. You can see how it just kind of gets a little bit dark on this side. I've found that typically I like to have just a little bit of kick light there. And this is at about 5% brightness over here for that kick light. Now, I don't do hair lights. If I do a hair light with the top down like this, my head is casting a shadow on the product. And then I have to either make sure I'm out of the way, or if I'm moving at all, it's casting a shadow. So I've just done away with hair lights whenever I'm doing top down unboxings like this. So it's just a 2-light setup. I currently have another light on over here just for our behind the scenes camera. But if I turn this off for you, you can see that this is now what our image is looking like. So you want to just look out, like when you have that on, you can kind of see more shadows. And when I turn that off, see how it gets rid of those shadows at the bottom there. Next is audio. Now you don't need audio for an unboxing. I personally love having just some sound effects of as I'm tearing stuff and opening stuff. I'll do some posts on Instagram where it's just an ASMR only audio. I'm not putting any music on it, just so you can hear all the crinkles of plastic and everything, just showing me unbox a product. So for the audio, I have here one of my shotgun mics pointing down at my product, and I kind of have it pointing in a direction where it will capture everything that's on the desk, but if I lift it up, it's still going to capture it here as well. And then I have that plugged into my computer so I can monitor it over here. I also currently have this microphone so that I can do this behind the scenes, but typically we are just doing the one microphone, focusing on what you're hearing for the ASMR sound effects of the unboxing. Now, one thing I'll point out too on my screen, I have these red markers on my monitor so that I can see where my vertical cropping is going to be. Because again, if I want to be able to publish this on both vertical and horizontal social media and YouTube, I want to keep that in mind. So if I'm coming up here, you notice how we're cutting off the edges now. And so I would keep that in mind if I'm wanting to put this on social. I might do one for vertical, hold it up like this for my vertical framing, and then I might do one for horizontal framing like that. So I'm getting two options that I can be used for both social and for YouTube. So it's nice to have those markers up there just to give you an idea. And then last thing we'll talk about here is just the frame that we're putting this in. Now you could just clear everything out and make this just a completely white desk or a black desk or a wood desk. I found that personally I like to have a few items on the desk just to make it feel a little more aesthetic, a little more interesting to look at. I have plenty of space in the center here for my unboxing, but then I bring in some greenery on the side here just to have a kick of color. Got a red camera over here, got my laptop in frame, and that just kind of helps the frame feel a little bit more exciting to look at, I guess. I chose white for this unboxing because we have a lot of black products, so it'll stand out against those black products. When you bring in a white product, you see how that kind of blends in with the background, so we might want to bring in something to put underneath that so that that stands out better. And so the color I use as far as the backdrop just kind of depends on the color of my product. That's just the box. A lot of these products themselves are dark and black, and so once we get them out of the box, it probably makes sense just to have the whole background white. I'll oftentimes do a wood background that's kind of in between, so whether you have a black or white product, the wood will stand out pretty well. So yeah, this just comes down to personal preference there as far as what to have in the background. Black, white, and wood are probably my favorites, but you'll watch guys like MKBHD, and he has tons of different colors of tiles that he'll put in to be his backdrop just to give him tons of variety. I mean, he's got thousands of dollars of just knickknacks to put on the desk and different colors to put as the backdrop. So I haven't gotten quite that intense as he has, but I don't unbox nearly as much as he does either. Okay, so that's all we've got for the setup. Now I'm going to actually do an unboxing. When I do an unboxing, I'm usually silent so that you can hear all the sound effects. In this case, I will try and stay as silent as I can, but then I'll stop and give you some tips on what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So we've got here a Portkeys monitor. We're going to be doing some monitor comparisons. And so for a YouTube video, I want to be able to have B-roll of each of these products. So before I open the product, I want to make sure I film it. Now, sometimes I'll have a product that sits unboxed for several days or even weeks because I'm not quite ready to get set up and film it. But I don't want to unbox it until I've filmed it, because then I have that B-roll to show that product in a YouTube video and I don't have to go and reshoot all of that later on. Now, I'll still probably end up shooting some other B-roll for the YouTube video afterwards. But if you're going to be unboxing it and looking at it anyway, you might as well be filming yourself and have that B-roll available. And then if it's a really popular product, I'll make an Instagram post version of it. And so you kind of get two pieces of content just out of having bought a product. So it's a good deal. Typically how I start these off, and you can come up with your own ways if you don't like my way, but this is what I do. I start with the data frame like so, and then I'll try and get it as close to center as I can, and I usually have to do a few tries. You notice here that I have like a 32-inch monitor. This is a ProArt display. Overkill for what we're doing here. And in fact, this is the first time I've used a display this big. I'm usually using a 7-inch monitor like the one we're unboxing here today. But man, having it this big, I'm like, I gotta do this every time now, because you can see your focus so much better. When I'm looking at a 7-inch monitor, I'm kind of squinting and making sure that it's in frame. So having it this big is awesome. So I highly recommend, if you got the cash, go ahead and get a bigger monitor like that. If I don't have a monitor at all, then I'd have to look up at this screen the whole time. And I do not recommend that. You could get by, but that's a 3-inch screen and it's far away. It's hard to see what's going on. So I'd at least do a 7-inch, and I'm really liking this today. And so I'd recommend going big if you can. Okay, so we've got the tally light off. Oh, whoops, I got to turn off my light over here too. Now we're ready. Okay. Sometimes the focus wigs out too, so just make sure you get a clean look. That's it. Okay, so we got that intro shot. That's kind of like your hook, bringing in that product. And then now from this point on, I'm just unboxing it, but all the while I'm looking at my focus. I'm making sure that the product's in the center, it's in focus. So I'm going back and forth between unboxing and watching myself unbox and make sure I'm just getting clean shots of that. So I'm gonna pick it up and just kind of rotate it around for a sec. And I'm thinking in terms of B-roll. I'm thinking, okay, I want like 4 to 5 second clips that I could throw up, and I'm already distracted by this, so I'm gonna take that out. But I'm just thinking, what would I want for my YouTube video if I was gonna be showing off this product? I just want a few seconds showing off what it looks like, get it from a few angles, show some stuff off. Now we'll start unboxing it here. And I like to do everything in one clean movement. So if I feel like it was jittery, then I'll reset and try it again. That one was pretty clean though. And the reveal is important, so I got to make sure I nail this. Good. And again, I'm keeping vertical and horizontal in mind. So I'm going to bring it down a little farther here. Very nice. And one other thing to consider too is you don't want to take too long on any one move, because you're going to want to like fast forward through it. You want these to be pretty quick cuts. So we'll try that a little bit quicker. A little bit of out of focus there. Let's try that again. Very nice. We got a couple options there. Now I'll start taking stuff out. So I'll usually take something out, and then I'll usually put my hand behind it so that it doesn't focus on the background. And so you can see it contrasted against my hand. And everything I take out, I just kind of rotate it in the light so you can see the light hitting on different parts of the product. See how the light catches right there? And then I'll set it to the side. Onto the main event here. And your goal is to try and give potential buyers an idea of what they're going to get when they buy it. So maybe giving them an indication of how nice the product is as far as construction, so they can hear the plastic in that, right? Open these latches. You notice I'm positioning it in a way where I can see the light hitting on it better. And a lot of this stuff, I don't even know what it is, but as I'm opening it, I'll probably end up taking this stuff out, but it's nice just to show off what it's coming with. Now, if the box that it came in has a good contrast in color, I'll just keep it right below here. Because the box is black and the product is black, I'll usually move this out of the way so that I can have some better contrast in the background there. And then with products like this, you also usually want to turn it on and show it with the display on. All right, so I'm going to show myself putting in a battery, bring it up here, hold it in a way that it's well lit and I can see it. You notice this is dark, this well lit, dark, well lit. I'm always positioning it in a way where you can see things well. So while it's positioned like that, throw in a battery. So it looks like that's all you're going to get as far as the screen goes, unless I plug it into a camera. Okay, so now I'm just going to go through and show close-ups of everything on the product. And I'll kind of point to it, and I'm doing it in a way where I'm thinking, if I'm doing a tutorial, at some point I'm going to talk about all the features, and I'm going to say, it's got buttons on the top, and it's got mounting brackets, and it's got a menu system here. And so I'm thinking ahead and thinking, okay, what are all the things that I could possibly point out? And let's try and point to those things and show them to get that B-roll out of the way. Buttons up there. And again, keeping in mind some vertical shots. Okay, now I'll come to the side here. Got our on-off switch, USB, monitor control, DC in. We got this antenna guy here. And then when we click on menu here, this allows us to show off some of the features of the actual screen. I'm just going to toggle through each of these so you get an idea of what it has to offer. See if it's touch screen. It is. So show off that it has a touch screen. Show off the brightness. So you just take, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes and you just go through all the things it has to offer, show off the menu system. You're just trying to give potential customers an idea of what it would be like if they bought the product. Okay, so once you feel like you've exhausted everything there is to look at superficially, again, I know that I'll be coming back and filming some more B-roll because I'm not going to be able to cover everything in the unboxing. But ideally, you can get a lot of it done right here while you're opening it, and you're going to be looking around and testing it out anyway. You might as well film yourself doing that. Now notice too, as I position this monitor, you start to notice that it's bringing in that key light as a reflection, which sometimes is good and sometimes like you can't really see the screen because of that reflection. So in this case, we don't want that reflecting. When we're looking at something black like this, you actually do want some of that reflection. When you have no reflection, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. When you get that key light reflecting, then you can see those buttons a lot better right here than you can right there. So you're positioning these all the time, rotating them around to try and get the light kicking off of them in different ways. So to end things off, I'll start it up high like this, and then I'll bring it down to the table, set it down, and then move my hands. And that's my outro shot for that. I usually record for about 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the complexity of the product. 20 to 40 minutes, unbox, and then you just have that footage forever in case you ever need to do any B-roll or want to do any reels or anything. Now I'll throw in one more tip here. Most products will come in, a UPS box, and then within the UPS box, they'll usually come in some kind of plastic wrapping like this. I personally don't think it's that interesting to watch somebody take off plastic or take it out of a UPS box. You could do that if you want, but I like to just start off with the actual product itself in a way that you can see it well. And when you cut these open, make sure you're not hurting the packaging in any way, because then your unboxing will have a big scratch on it. Looks like somebody else already scratched all that up for me. So starting off with this versus that plastic wrapping, you really couldn't see it very well. So that's pretty much it for how to do an unboxing video. If you have any further questions, please let me know.